What's up, guys? It is the Triple Threat main event, episode number 4. And tonight we will talk all things the Iron Claw, the movie about the Von Erich family, or what you could say, the curse of the Von Erich family. With me, as always, Warden, who wants more ribs. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, I've seen you too much this week. So
Hey, man, you could only
two
get so
times
much
in a week
greatness
is
in 1 week, dude. Come on, man.
2 times in a week is one time too or 2 times too many.
Yeah,
So
you love it. You know you do.
whatever. Whatever.
Whatever,
Yeah, whatever. Whatever, brother.
brother.
And then the Thunder from Down Under, the Hitman. Best there was, best there. How'd you say? Best.
I can't even get it. Best there was, best there was, best there will be.
50, you start losing track. Ask Warden.
What?
But Jack Pennachio, as always, with us tonight. How you doing,
Dun,
buddy?
dun, 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 dun. Oh, I tried to.
G'day, guys. G'day. How you going? Happy weekend.
Yeah.
Happy football playoffs too. I'm excited.
So is it like Thursday down there right now? Or?
And I've been on holidays that long. It feels like one big Saturday.
Oh
I've still got
my
another
God.
week to go.
Running.
God, one more week? What the hell?
I know.
He's been on holiday for like 2 years now.
I know.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
actually a year. He was on holiday last year.
Yep.
Oh,
Take the rest of the year off. Yeah.
I may as well.
Yeah, I
But
don't
no,
know.
things
Like,
going well, man. We're going well.
don't you guys hate it when it's like the end of the year and somebody says, "Hey, I'll see you next year." Like,
I told people on the last day at work, like, I do not want to hear this joke. I'll see you next month, not next year. I don't want to hear it. So
it's not like some Warden would say. I mean,
It does.
all right. So Warden, you're representing your boys. Game tomorrow. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking they better show up and keep what they're doing playing at home. I mean, but minus the Detroit game. I don't know, man. The Packers are always kind of weird for us because I think it goes back to the Ice Bowl before any of us were born.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then the Dez catch, of course, that were mentioned that it was a catch. They actually changed the rules to make it a catch. Didn't matter then. That he was never the same. So the only thing good about it is that Aaron Rodgers is gone. But it's the Packers, it's the Cowboys, and as we saw today with Cleveland, who should have won that game. Actually, I mean, you talk about the Von Erichs being cursed. God, Cleveland. I mean, one championship in all these years, and that was with LeBron. I mean, gee whiz. Who knows?
Bring that guy.
Who?
Flacco's done now, isn't he?
The boom. Yeah, he probably is. I would think so. I mean, but I can't criticize the guy too much because I think, he led them to the playoffs.
Yeah, he got him there. He got him there.
He got fire, but he just ran out of it. He ran out of fire today. Definitely. He threw more touchdowns or just as many touchdowns to the Texans as he did to the Browns. So.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on the direct opposite. I think Houston's a lot better than what they're given credit for. They're way ahead of schedule because you look at their coach.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah,
their coach was the defensive coordinator for San Francisco when they were really good, and you got C.J. Stroud, who Ohio State finally has a breakout. They're like unlike Oklahoma, who every quarterback wins the Heisman and goes on to the NFL, but C.J. Stroud made it, and they got a good team, man. And
they got a good defense too. That defense, he had put his stamp on. As good as he had the 49ers defense last year, he's getting those guys in that same. He's got that same kind of personnel with Houston.
I think the only thing we can say for the NFL this year is I think we're going to have a new champion. I don't see Kansas City repeating.
I don't see it either. I don't see it. Look to
Could be
tell
Baltimore and San Fran, I reckon. Besides, I'm taking the Rams out of it because I'm a Rams fan. I reckon it's going to be Baltimore. They're my second pick.
How you feeling about Baltimore, Stevie?
Nope.
No.
Nope. They got to show me in the playoffs. They got to show me. They haven't. Lamar is like 1-3 in the playoffs. You know, they may be the best team in the regular season, but the season starts over in the playoffs, and it's a whole new deal.
That's the way I feel about Dallas. They got to, I hear these people, oh, this year's different. It's like you're not. I think if they get to the NFC Championship and lose against San Francisco, I think there'll be some people still pissed, but I think it'll be a lot better. But, with this team, I don't see the Cowboys win it all. I mean, I'm not stupid enough. Would I like that to happen? Well, yeah, I'd like to have all my hair too, but shit, it ain't happening.
Do you reckon they should have had it a couple of years ago? Like, do you reckon their time has come and gone for now?
Do I think their time has come and gone? No. I think that I think if the Rams can take care of Detroit and take care of San Francisco, I think that's their best shot at getting to the Super Bowl. But I don't know. I mean the way Detroit played us at home. I mean, no team's done that. That scares me because I don't know, man. The NFL, there's so much parity. Anything can happen. The Cowboys can go on a run. Who knows? I mean, hell, the Steelers could go. I mean, you don't know. There's so much parity. But I'm not betting on the Cowboys. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know. I mean, a lot of it has to do with you can win all these games during the regular season, but if you go into playoffs, kind of like, for instance, the Philadelphia Eagles are right now, I wouldn't pick them against anybody. Matter of fact, I know Baker Mayfield is questionable, but I wouldn't pick the Eagles to beat Tampa Bay right now. I mean, they're in Tampa too, so they haven't been the same since they played San Francisco. I mean, Dallas kicked their ass. I mean, Jalen Hurts has become the Dak Prescott of last year. Yeah. I will say this about the Cowboys. If the Cowboys do not make it, it won't be on Dak this year. It's going to be on their defense giving up too many points. Because I think he's had an MVP. He won't win it, but I think he's had a hell of a career. And if there was a most improved player, I think Dak should get it. Yeah, I agree that he's had a good year. He did. He said before the year started he would not throw 10 interceptions, and he only threw 9. So he did live up to that.
Well, how many did he have last year? Like 16 or something?
Yeah, something like that. Didn't have as much as Jameis Winston did that one year. Jameis Winston, 30-some touchdowns and 30 more interceptions. Talking about the Eagles, and we're going to get into wrestling, we promise, in just a few minutes. But talking about the Eagles, did you see that about A.J. Brown? He's hurt. He has taken all the Philadelphia Eagles content off his social media. He isn't there, so he's out this week. And I don't care what you say, what these guys say. Oh, it didn't have anything to do with any kind of bad feelings towards the team. Bull crap. You do that, you're looking to make a statement. George Pickens did it against the Steelers early in the year. I'm like, yeah, that was a shot fired at the team, no doubt about it. You can say what you want.
As a Cowboy fan, I love to see it because I was watching that last week as they lost that last game to the Giants. All they were talking about in their post game was the Cowboys. Yeah. It was like, well, the Cowboys won a division. I mean, the Cowboys should not have won that division. The Eagles should have won that division. But it was just like, the Cowboys had the better win per conference. I mean, you can't beat the Giants. I mean, you shouldn't be in the playoffs. And it's just like they're so focused on Dallas is that, it's just they need to worry about what's going on in their team. And that A.J. Brown, that guy you're talking about, he reminded me of that. Who's that guy that did that to the Steelers? Remember he even went after Brady when he played for the Bucks? Who was that guy? Antonio Brown or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that the same dude? He sounds like that guy. I mean, it's like, I don't know. The Eagles got a lot of problems, and knowing them, they'll probably.
I think A.J. Brown is kin to Antonio, though.
They'll fire their coach like they did with that guy. Who's that guy after they won the Super Bowl? They fired him, and now he's in Jacksonville. I mean, that was stupid. You finally get a ring, and you fire your coach. I mean, I love seeing Philly just.
They fired him the year after he won.
Philly can just crash. It's great to see as a Cowboy fan.
It is crashing for sure.
Yep. It's nice.
All right. So I just saw where anybody looking to see Taylor Swift at the game tonight, they're talking
She's
about
there. She's there.
He is, but the luxury boxes windows are all frozen, so you can't
Oh,
really see.
she'll complain and write a song about it.
Oh, there goes our buddy. There went our buddy.
Terry Taylor in the house.
He's here. He's here.
The Red Rooster's back.
The thing about I'll say this about Terry Taylor. I'll say this thing about Taylor Swift.
Taylor.
It's like if the Eagles, if the
Get it together.
Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs. If the Chiefs lose, they're gonna blame her. And it's not her fault, just like it wasn't Jessica Simpson's fault when Romo choked. The people are so stupid. It's like they go after anybody successful.
But do you know what they'll say? They'll say they never lost until she got there.
Oh, shut
Look,
up.
here's the
So
thing.
stupid.
You think they're going to blame her? They're already blaming her. Travis Kelce, this is the first year in, I can't even remember, 4 or 5 years, he hasn't had 1,000 yards receiving.
You don't. The thing about the Chiefs is that when you win it a couple times, you should know this as a Steeler fan, you don't get hungry anymore. You don't. You win that, but you're not hungry anymore. There's always somebody, and that's what's happening to the Chiefs. Travis is older. Look what happened to the Eagles. They were never the same after they won. You don't get as hungry. We choke no matter what. We haven't won in 30 years, but we still choke.
Y'all are hungry.
We're hungry, but we got the Happy Meal, so we're
But
is Travis? Is he as hungry as he was a couple years ago before ring? No.
it
happened.
I would say this about him and Mahomes. They're how do I say this?
Believe in their own hype.
Well, not that, but they're more worried about what commercials they make than what they're doing on the field now. I believe that's went to their head a little bit.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like Rocky 3. Remember, he got all.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
It's like he's not hungry like a Clubber Lane. Yeah, exactly.
Starts working out inside the hotel lobby in front of a music band. He doesn't care.
Can we just go back to the gym?
You know what? I have 2 rings, and I'm banging Taylor Swift. I don't give a fudge what anybody says about me. Whatever.
Well, he'll have a whole album wrote about him before long anyway. So,
I'm calling it now. If they win the Super Bowl, he will propose with the ring. I'm telling you, that's my pick.
No, they're gonna get married anyway because they've been dating longer than this crap's been going on.
Yeah.
He's already got 2 rings. He don't need any more. She's a billionaire. What else do you need? Who cares? If people want to talk shit, let them talk shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into what we're here to talk about. We'll talk about some wrestling. And since the last time we got together, which was for our top 5 managers, a lot has happened in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly, the big story is the return of The Rock. So Rock comes out, talks about where should I sit at? Should I sit at the bar? Or maybe just go to the head of the table. So
that was awesome.
Automatically, that was good. Automatically, it's everywhere. Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania 40. And then you have the Cody fans that are like, are you freaking kidding me? This is where we're supposed to finish the story. Well, I'm telling you, there is a way for you Cody fans for your story to get finished, just not against Roman Reigns. And I think I'm going to share with you what I think is going to happen. And even before the Fatal 4-Way was announced at Royal Rumble, this is what I thought would happen. Okay, so somehow I thought they were going to have Orton versus Reigns at Royal Rumble. And Orton was going to take the belt off of Reigns with help from The Rock. The Rock would distract Reigns. And now, even now, I'm even more convinced with the Fatal 4-Way because the thing is, Roman doesn't have to get pinned to lose his belt. So have The Rock come out, distract Roman, get him away from the ring, and have Orton. And I think it's going to be Orton. I don't think AJ Styles or LA Knight are going to win the belt. I think it's going to be Orton. That'll give Orton 16 title reigns. He'll be tied with Cena.
What about the Money in the Bank?
I mean, Money in the Bank. Somebody can win the Money in the Bank, but they don't have to cash it.
Who's that guy that has the
Damien Priest. He's going for Seth. They keep teasing that angle, so he might do something at Mania for that.
I'm a big Damien fan, so I don't know.
But then Orton, somewhere between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, Orton turns heel on Cody, and they do the whole.
I can see that.
Teacher versus student when Cody was in Legacy with DiBiase Jr. and Orton was the head of the faction, and Cody wins the belt at WrestleMania.
No.
AEW in Norfolk tonight, which is down the road from me at Chartweight Arena. Yeah, I saw some people, some of the wrestlers from Rage Wrestling were heading there tonight.
What's the name of the arena?
Chartway Arena.
Chartway? What's that?
Don't have a clue, bud. Don't have a clue. I don't know what Chartway is. Kind of like some of these freaking college bowl games. I don't have a clue what the bowl games are.
Tidy bowl game?
Yeah.
The Pop-Tart Super Bowl. Why do they call it the Pop-Tart?
Because Pop-Tart.
You know what? Pop-Tarts are badass, dude. I love Pop-Tarts. Dude, Pop-Tarts rule, dude. Come on.
Nothing's more manlier than a football game sponsored by Pop-Tarts.
Oh, it is work. Hey, did you see the end of that game, Pennachio?
Yeah,
what happened?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. But
they can't have the Marlboro Lights Bowl anymore, so they got to have the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Can't have the Jack Daniels Bowl anymore. But yeah.
The Bourbon Bowl and the Water Boy, the Bourbon Bowl.
Do you remember when Bobby Boucher showed up at halftime and the White House won the Bourbon Bowl? Do you?
Who's balled the devil, Bobby?
It's not for the devil. It's for my Bobby. Anyway,
show me her boobies, and I like them too.
So of course, Warren goes back to that.
Yes.
Oh, it's
sue me.
Chartway Arena is Old Dominion University's gym. I think this is Robert. This is probably my buddy Robert Matthews, the Texas A&M fan, Ward.
Probably fake news. It's probably wrong.
No, he's right. He is right because I saw some of the wrestlers going there tonight. All right, so that's what I think is going to happen between now and Royal Rumble, which is 2 weeks tonight. Yeah. So we'll see, and I think we all probably won't be here. If you guys are able to do it, that's great. But I'll probably be doing a live, and I know how Warden hates this watch along with. I'm not going to be watching it. I'm going to be watching it, but we're not going to be showing it on here with the Royal Rumble, and we'll try to get you. Oh no,
dude! Oh no! If you guys want to do a watch along,
I'm going to do it. I mean, I did. That's why I said if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But I'm going to do it. So
you're going to do a watch along podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
as long as I can. If I fall asleep in the middle of it,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't have the attention.
I know you said that.
I'll be like, what? Ooh, squirrel. What? I'll be like, I'll be honest.
But yeah.
Do you think they'll open up the Royal Rumble with the Royal Rumble match, and the Fatal 4-Way will be the main event?
Well, they got to have the women's.
They can do the women's. They can do Seth. Is he putting a title on the line?
That's what I was getting ready to say. What is the current card? Because I have not heard. Hold on.
Because the Fatal 4-Way would be a good way to end the pay-per-view, especially if the idea is for The Rock to come out and cost the match.
If there is a title change, it'd be a great way to end it. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I just think about because I've been watching a lot of the old Royal Rumbles this week.
But why? I think Stevie's right. why is there a 4-4-way if the title is not gonna? I think he's got a point.
Yeah, I mean, and look, let me tell you, it's the perfect way for Roman to get back and say he can come back and say, "Hey, nobody ever pinned me. I never lost that belt."
It's
It
what
was
Brock
like-
did.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's what I was saying. It's like when Seth Rollins won that, which
Yeah,
was one of the best cash-ins ever. That was so awesome. Did you ever see that where I think it was, I don't know, I heard it on a podcast or something. They were showing when Seth was covering Roman, because it was like Roman wasn't quite at the time where he was over yet.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
put it on, and he thanked Roman. He goes, "Thank you so much." So you can hear him
Wow, there you go.
because
So
those two guys came up together. So
all right, so right now it's 4 matches. Women's Royal Rumble match,
Mhm.
the men's Royal Rumble match, Roman in the Fatal 4-Way against Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight, and then Logan Paul in a U.S. Championship match against Kevin Owens.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Kevin Owens still wrestling? I haven't seen him lately.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens has been all over Smack. You haven't watched SmackDown then?
Oh, I didn't watch SmackDown.
Yeah, he's on SmackDown.
He's on SmackDown.
Is he a heel or a good guy?
Well, he's a babyface.
I can't
But-
stand Logan Paul, but he's
Yeah,
good.
that's why
He does a good job for an outsider. I give him that.
That was
I'll tell
great.
you this, dude, he is definitely no longer that he's been in the business. He's been around. I mean, he's come a long way. I mean,
You know, it's funny when you talk about outsiders coming in. You know who impressed me years ago was Snooki when she wrestled. She did pretty good for her.
She did.
I was like, damn, she didn't do bad. It's a lot better than that show she's on.
I
I never-
forgot about her.
I never knew of the rapper until wrestling, but Bad Bunny, he
Oh
goes.
yeah,
good
he's
too.
good. He's very good.
Well, I'll tell you who impressed me just as much as Logan Paul. Well, maybe not quite as much as Logan Paul, but the fact that he's a little bit older, and Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
That dude against who did he fight? That
Austin Theory.
Yeah,
Austin Theory. Oh my gosh, he took him to the limit, definitely. And I mean,
And those stunners he took from Austin, he said he wasn't expecting those, but he sold them great.
Yeah. I love that when he saw one of them in the cameras in his face and he's still drinking the beer on the floor.
yeah. So yeah, he has impressed me. I mean, I don't know if there's any plans for him to do anything at WrestleMania this year, but
He's got a big contract with ESPN right now. I doubt it. So
oh, did y'all? I know I talked a little bit on the final score the other night. The curse of the terrible towel. You know, Jacksonville, when they beat Pittsburgh this year, they were celebrating on the sidelines with the terrible towel rolling around.
Really?
They went on to lose like almost every game from here on out and out of the playoffs. Cleveland, a couple of weeks ago, a guy from Cleveland walked off and was wiping his butt with the terrible towel. It's happened. Look at TJ.
Well, it's like when Oklahoma does that. You know, it's just like, I mean, I get it, but I don't get the like when Alabama was doing that and like Oklahoma was doing that and like Saban was on them. I mean, it's not like it's with the Longhorns. It's like people get very pissed about that, and it's like, dude, it's not that big a deal. I don't care. But I mean, it's like the guy for San Francisco, he wore that shirt that said, and they lost all those games.
Kittle.
Yeah, fuck the Cowboys, and they lost all like those 4 straight. So it's like, I'm not superstitious, but I mean, it's fun. I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
It's just funny to look at it. Say they're out of the playoffs and Pittsburgh's in now, but it's funny.
Well, it's like when T.O. went on the Cowboys star.
Sorry,
And I remember telling my people, man, that mother, ever becomes a Cowboy, I'm dumping the Cowboys. Hey, Cowboys, dude, welcome to the Cowboys, T.O.
I know. That's what I was going to say. Warden probably
yeah.
went out and bought a T.O. jersey.
No.
He's my favorite Cowboy.
No. It's kind of like Robert Ory when he played for the Lakers and he burned my Spurs. But when he joined us, he saved our ass and won that one against Detroit. So it's like, it's a business. So you say that crap, but you're going to cheer for him.
All right.
Hell, Randall
to
Cunningham
wrestling.
became a cowboy. Did you ever see that happening? No.
Back to wrestling real quick. Who do you guys think is going to be Sting's last match?
Oh, I know. It's going to be the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a title shot.
I
And if they
mean-
win the titles, what's going to happen then?
Bucks don't. Well, the Bucks don't have the belt, do they?
Oh, I thought they did. I thought it was a
No.
title. Okay. Well, no, it's going to be them because they came out and stuff. I saw that much.
Yeah, they came out looking like they were off the Godfather or something. The other
It would
night.
have made more
Totally.
sense if Sting went up against Darby Allin.
You think they would do that though?
It's a smart move. He's
I
been
think
with
they-
him since day one.
Yeah.
I don't think they want him to do a. I mean, as much as I would love to see a singles match, I don't think either he or AEW wants him to do a singles match. When was the last time you saw Sting in a singles match?
That's a send off. They want to do a send off. They don't want to build anything like it. I think you're right though, because I mean, Sting would obviously put Darby Allin over, but they're probably going to have Sting win it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I just don't.
I
I
doubt
was,
Ric Flair because he's back.
oh yeah, Ric Flair's. There were somebody on Busted Open was talking the other day about about the Bucks fighting Sting, and he
Flair will be involved somehow, though. He'll be involved somehow.
Flair's gonna be at the ringside, but they said that they'd have Darby Allin's outside the ring. They've thrown him outside the ring. Sting's in the ring staggering. The Bucks are both in the ring, and they look at Sting and they say, "I'm sorry, I love you," and they super kick him, just like. And Flair's over there going like, "Where have I seen this before?"
Yeah.
So
It's too bad though that wasn't Flair's last match because he's almost kind of gone downhill for me a little bit. Like he was my number one for so long, but it just I don't agree with it, but a lot of people, that's Kiss is messing with their legacy. When I kind of see that now, I don't believe it with Kiss, but I see that now when they talk about wrestling, I can see what they're talking about.
If he came out the week after Sting announced his retirement, it would have made such a big thing. But because Flair's been back wrestling like last year, the year before, all this promotion, it's kind of like, oh, here comes Rick. It's the mistake's gone from
Exactly.
Ric Flair.
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You're right.
Tony Khan did give Sting the option to pick his opponent for his last match, and reading it now, he decided that he wanted to do the Young Bucks. So I don't know what this next comment is, but this one's for you, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Ask Pennachio why Ham took the Kookaburra song so serious. So what if he stole the tune? Not worth taking your own life.
Mhm.
What
Is he talking about Men at Work in the Land Down Under?
is that? Whoever this is, Facebook user, I know this is a wrestling show, but I mean to ask him for several shows.
Is that what
Well-
it is? Is it the Men at Work song?
Kookaburra. What is
Because if that's what it is, that's what I'm thinking about. You know that song Land
he
Down
said
Under?
yes. They said yes.
Okay, so the song Land Down Under, there's an Australian song about a kookaburra, right? And it goes in the same tone. Like the Land Down Under song goes in the same tone as the kookaburra song. So they went to court for years, and Men at Work lost the court case because apparently it's too similar to the kookaburra song.
So did the guy that wrote that song, the Kookaburra song, kill himself over it?
I don't think so. I never heard that, but yeah, if that's the case, I never heard that part. But I know Men at Work lost the court case. You know how songs like artists come out 30 years later and they go, "Oh, your
yeah.
song sounds like mine."
Kookaburra song. Let's see if we can find out. The
That's all
sax
impressive.
flute player. Okay. I'm looking at it. Is this a nursery rhyme?
Yeah, it is. It's a nursery rhyme song.
Kookaburra sitting in the old gum tree. Yeah. Laugh, Kookaburra. I remember that song.
So if you play it, and you picture the song like Land Down Under, especially when the guy plays the flute, it goes in that tune. So
Okay. So now we found out something new.
yeah,
The Kookaburra song is wins
Yeah.
over work.
is the original Land Down Under.
Man Down Under is the Kookaburra song that I sang.
Somebody really off themselves because of that.
Like I said,
see
I didn't
it
hear
like
that. I didn't hear that part.
I'm looking right now, but
Wow.
Robert, it's Robert. Robert, did somebody really kill himself over it?
That's sad.
I mean, because I don't see it up here under what I'm looking at on which is Wikipedia, but I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Let's get to the main event of the night. The Iron Claw comes out, and all of us got a chance to see it. Pennachio, you just got to see it. What? Yesterday?
2 days ago.
Days ago. And look, this guy gets in the freaking theater, and it shows a picture. They serve him. I mean, this is how good Pennachio is. He gets served champagne when he goes to the movie theater. So
Yeah,
happen?
they did that for another movie because when I was leaving, they had it as well, and that must be a new thing because it's a premiere. So I think it actually comes out in another 4 days in Australia. So the premiere, you walk in, they give you a glass of champagne, complimentary.
Nice.
So
Wow, I've never seen that at any freaking.
I probably
movie
wanted to give you the
I
Von
went.
Erich experience.
Hell, I'm in Texas. They didn't have that down here.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will say, for a movie like this, our cinema was nearly about half full. I'm surprised a lot of people came to the opening to it because
Okay.
I didn't think the Von Erich. And when we get up to it, I will mention a few things, but I will say a few people were surprised. I heard a few gasps at a few parts in the movie. We'll get to it.
Yeah, I did too.
So
Okay, so I did find out what Rob was talking about. The guy that played the flute for Men at Work, his name is Greg Ham, was found dead at his home in 2012, listed the cause of heart attack. Friends of Ham told newspapers he had a long battle with heroin addiction, which had escalated after the Kookaburra trial. It is known that he was depressed and suffering anxiety over the copyright lawsuit filed against him and the members of Men at Work for the alleged similarities between Kookaburra and the flute riff in Down Under.
there you go.
There you go, Robert. You're right. Way to go, Robert.
So it wasn't a suicide. It was just led up to it.
It was a heart attack. Yeah, it was a heart attack. But he was, they were talking about it was depression from all that too.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
So, if you're not familiar, if you're watching this wrestling podcast, unless you're a young guy or you're old like us, you don't know who the Von Erichs are. Then okay, we're gonna have to fill you in.
Mhm.
Von Erich, they were a wrestling family. The patriarch was Fritz Von Erich out of Texas, which pretty much they ran world-class championship wrestling in Texas in the 80s. The first family, they were actually, to me, and this is just me, when I started watching wrestling, they were actually, I think, the first family I remember hearing about. I mean, you had what?
The heart.
At first, you had Kerry, David, Mike, and Kevin all wrestling at one time. So 4 brothers wrestling at one time. And the whole Von Erich curse starts. David dies, has well, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Jack, the young guy. There was a kid as a very young kid got electrocuted. That was Jack. He gets electrocuted at an early age. So he's gone. But the wrestling brothers, David dies first. He has some kind of infection over in Japan. Wasn't that what it was? Yeah.
It wasn't an infection. He died like Bon Scott, according to Ric Flair.
Yeah, he was all boozed up.
The family says it was like an infection, acute something. But
In his intestines.
I trust Ric Flair more. He died like Bon Scott and Jimi Hendrix.
So
He
they
was drinking so much to where he couldn't regurgitate it out or something like that. That's what Flair said. I trust what Flair says. So
you guys are saying what got portrayed in the movie was
by the family.
Okay.
We will say, Kevin did come out and say it's about 90% true, the movie. So, but like I said, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
I have heard both things. One was he just couldn't get it out no more. One was like, I guess you could call it the PG version. Say, look, he had an infection. But,
Okay. Here we go. One theory of his death, it was a painkiller overdose, perhaps hydrocodone. Ric Flair mentions in the autobiography that Bruiser Brody removed the evidence of any drug-related incident. The Von Erichs, however, claimed it was caused by ruptured intestines from acute enteritis, which is a documented cause of death listed on the reported death from the U.S. Embassy in Japan.
I forgot about the Bruiser Brody part. Yeah, Flair did talk about that in his book. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, okay, a lot of I did not know that's what Flair had said.
They kind of led to it in the movie when he was at the wedding. He goes, I've just got this
stomach
infection. I've got this bug.
And see, that's what I'd always heard over the years that he had. It was some kind of infection that got him overseas.
Yeah, because I saw a thing on YouTube about Flair talking about, David acted all innocent, but he drank because I took him out drinking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, you don't know about Kevin, but you know about Kerry's demons over the years between drugs and alcohol. Now, Mike, I don't know.
Mike's biggest thing is that he got hurt in the ring and he had that surgery. And he was a musician. He didn't really want to be a wrestler, but he looked so much like David that they pushed him for that. And the movie was pretty good about, talking about that. But I remember when he had that surgery, I remember it happening real time, and you would see him interview. He was never the same.
No,
they pushed him way too hard. And I can remember when he died, I can remember being such a fan. It's like, I bet it was that damn Gino Hernandez who killed him. I mean, I was such a freaking mark for wrestling. I didn't know. I mean,
Gino got him.
Yeah.
Damn Gino.
That damn Gino. Did you see that though? How it was like showing Gino's the one that got Kerry on coke. I mean, it was like they put that out there too. So
let's knock that in.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about the cast first.
Yep.
And I'll go through some of the cast, and you guys give me your opinions on how they were. Okay, first of all, Zac Efron is Kevin Von Erich.
Great. I think he did awesome.
He did really well.
I know a lot of it, including us, question why, as big as Zac got, why he didn't play Kerry. But my opinion was they wanted the more well-known actor to play Kevin because that was going to be what the whole movie was based around, was Kevin.
They portrayed it more as Kevin's story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Jeremy Allen White as Kerry Von Erich. I thought he was pretty good.
I thought he was pretty good, but I just don't remember Kerry being that small.
That's what
I remember
the biggest thing with me. Yeah.
I asked my mom, I go, I don't remember him being that small. And see, my mom met them because she worked at the Southwest Airlines.
Right.
And she says, no, he was a pretty small guy. But her idea, she likes Tom Selleck and Sam Elliott. So she likes the text. But Kevin, they had Kevin. I just don't remember him being that small, but I thought the guy did great. I think
you compare him to Zac in the movie, he's going to look tiny. I reckon. Do you know who I would have picked? Sorry,
Kevin wasn't as big, wasn't that much bigger than Kerry. So I remember.
Really bigger than Kerry back then.
Huh?
I thought Kerry was more cut than Kevin was back then.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Kevin was more lean, lean, muscular. Yeah. Kerry was built. Yeah.
The actor who played David should have played Kerry. He looked like Kerry a little bit.
I think he was a great David, though.
Yeah.
He was a great David. He did.
The next one. Harris Dickinson is David Von Erich. I think he did a good job with him.
I think they missed the mark with Mike. He didn't really look like Mike to me. He
didn't look like it, but I'll tell you this. I'd forgot after the whole surgery and the toxic shock syndrome thing till I watched the movie about Mike, how bad he was talking after that.
Remember his eyes were all kind of
And when I went back I went on YouTube after I watched this and I looked up stuff like that, and he had it spot on as far as the way Mike acted after that toxic shock syndrome.
And that could have been what they were looking for somebody after the fact.
Yeah.
Did they really think that Mike was going to come back? Because like I said, obviously this happened before I was born.
He did come back.
Yeah, he came back.
Yeah, so then
he came back to wrestle, but he was a rail, dude. He was skinnier than he was before. I mean, it was painful to watch because it was horrible.
And the bad thing was, and I'm sure this was, I mean, all in all, Fritz makes decisions from what goes on in that. Buddy Roberts for the Freebirds really comes down on Mike about how he is, how he's acting after that, and they do a spot together, and he's giving hell for how he's acting, doing this stuff and all that. So I mean that's and which bringing up Fritz Hope McCallany as Fritz Von Erich, I thought he was spot on. I thought he was probably, besides Zac Efron, I thought he was probably the best one in the movie. He had Fritz down pat.
Yeah.
He looked like him a lot. I was just shocked how much he looked like Fritz.
He had that mean father boss look too, especially when he was at the office desk,
right,
doing all the deals and things like that.
Yeah, I just remember really identifying with Kevin because I mean, for what you told me about, your dad was a great man, Stevie, but my dad was kind of like Fritz. I mean, no matter what I did, nothing was ever good enough.
Right.
And we've all had kind of dads like that and I kind of get that too. That's not so much on them, it's how they were raised. They weren't really raised to be like, like even the mom was real kind of tough. I mean, but it's like no matter what Kevin did, you're 40 years old and can't provide for your family. Well, hell, it's like, damn. So I think a lot of that, they portrayed him as that because I think a lot of the stuff on Fritz kind of, that highlight of that movie is like why the boys ended like they did, because what they never did was never good enough.
Yeah. So speaking of the mom, more attorney as Doris Von Erich. You've seen her in ER. ER. She was on Liar Liar with Jim Carrey.
She was on Office. What was that? News Radio. That was a good show.
Yeah, with Phil Hartman. Yeah. She was good. I mean, you think about what that woman went through, though. Nobody, actually, here at home right now, I've got a lady she had 2 daughters, and both of them have passed away in the last 6 years. So no parent should ever have to bury a kid. But think about burying all your kids.
Or 5.
They didn't talk about that either. She left him at the end. She moved to Hawaii with Kevin.
Yeah, that. And then Lily James as Pam Atkinson, which was Kevin's wife.
That was good.
Smoked. Woo! She's hot.
Which we didn't see a whole lot in this movie, and I was kind of disappointed. But MJF as Lance Von Erich, a lot of his stuff got cut. So I heard. I would like to see.
I will say you had to be quick to see him.
Yeah, really, you had to be looking for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess he was good. But
I remember they announced Lance Von Erich I mean, I even knew enough. It's like that's what I started kind of checking out. It's like
cousin. He's a cousin.
Eric.
I remember when all that was going on, and I was never. I mean, look, I was a fan of World Class just reading in the magazines, and I remember when Lance came on, I was like, no, I don't like that guy. Okay, Brady Pierce as Michael Hayes.
it's okay.
Okay, I mean they were there. I thought all of the Freebirds were pretty good. You know,
They weren't focuses of the story. They were afterthoughts. So
yeah, they were the. I guess they could not have the Freebirds in this movie.
they should have done the Ric Flair part like that too, an afterthought, and not had him like because that guy was not good.
Aaron Dean Eisenberg as Ric Flair.
Horrible.
This is the worst thing about the whole movie to me because that guy.
I disagree.
Nah,
I disagree about the worst thing. We'll talk about that later. But
as far as character portrayals, he's the worst one.
Yeah, he was not. But I think what I kind of get what they were trying to do. Ric Flair is such an over guy. Like, just if you didn't really know Ric Flair and watch wrestling, you wouldn't believe it. And I think that's what they were trying to portray. But they did Ric Flair a disservice because he was so believable. This guy couldn't carry Ric Flair's jockstrap. You know,
his voice was too deep.
Ric Flair and the wig was horrible.
Yeah, it was too deep. If he added a lisp, he would have sounded like Dusty.
Yeah,
the way he was talking.
They didn't need him. They didn't need him with that close up when he goes and gets a beer, which they had. You know, I can see Ric Flair getting a beer after it.
Yeah,
but they didn't need that. They showed some actual footage at Texas Stadium when he was fighting them.
Yeah,
they should have left all that crap the same. They shouldn't. I mean, if they would have done it like the Freebirds, it would have been a lot better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just a 5 to 10 second, even 20 seconds in the ring. That's it. But the whole minute 20 interview, it was too much.
Yeah. All right.
If they had a better actor play Ric Flair, like maybe Will Ferrell, like when he was in Eastbound and Down.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Ferrell would have been better.
He probably would have known. The thing that got me, the only thing I saw that guy knew about Ric Flair was woo.
Yeah.
That guy.
But it wasn't even a good woo. It was like a joke. It was like
that was the only thing. And I mean, everybody, even if you're not a wrestling fan, most of the time, if somebody mentions Ric Flair, you're gonna say, "Oh, he's the woo."
But then he even did the Fargo strut in the ring, and it was like terrible.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, do your research, dude. Do your research on Ric Flair. Watch some film.
He was trying. He was trying too hard to be over the top, and it didn't work.
It did not work. He wanted
somebody got a parrot back there dying or something, or
got some magpies coming,
like the Black Crow magpies type thing.
Almost.
Jack's just got a freaking bird zoo out there.
Marlon Perkins, man.
Yeah. Jim. What was that guy? That was his name on that one.
The Marlon Perkins, the Mutual Ohio.
Yeah, Marlon Perkins would always be in the studio. He'd make Jim do all the tough stuff. Look at Jim.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was the one where he was like Mr. Like Animal, but he out there shooting.
You couldn't get away with that now.
I know.
Okay, Kevin Anton is Harley Race.
That was good.
That was good.
Yeah, he was good.
Like
he was a bit big. He was a bit big at the time for Harley, but he had that look, that monotone voice saying, "This is my NWA championship."
And you can see him back there backstage having a smoke afterwards because that's who Harley Race was. I mean, yeah, I thought that guy did good.
Yeah. Cassie Lewis Saragino as Bruiser Brody. Yeah, I think he did all right. It was okay. I mean, I don't really think he had enough time in there to really make a judgment.
He's like the guy with Gino. There wasn't too much about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it how they were like meeting backstage. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys know who played the Sheik?
Was it Chavo?
Yep, Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Which Sheik was it? Was it the
not Adnan? This is
it wasn't Akbar?
No.
Okay.
Chavo also was the guy that trained all the actors on the wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
When it was, you said that Sheik, which Sheik was it?
It's Ed the Sheik Fullhart. It's not Akbar. It's you remember the crazy Sheik, Sabu's uncle.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I just don't remember him in World Class. I just don't remember him in World Class.
Well, he was a little bit of everywhere. I mean,
I remember Akbar, but I don't remember.
Well, Akbar was like a fixture World Class, and then he went to Mid South.
Yeah.
But Chavo got rave reviews for training these wrestlers. I mean, the actors as wrestlers, and now there's even rumors that they want to do a movie on the Guerrero family.
Yeah, that. I remember the Guerrero family from before because there was Chavo Guerrero Sr. I remember there was a wrestler. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Steve. His name was Al Madril. He was a worker out here. And I remember that they attacked his dad when he was gone some week. And Al Madril was like, yeah, Chavo Jr. is going to be at my back. And you just attacked his dad. So I remember the Guerreros here. Yeah. So, I remember for Eddie. So, yeah.
You have what was it, Mondo Guerrero, Chavo Senior.
No.
Gosh,
Chavo Guerrero Jr. Yeah.
Dominic Mysterio. He's another Guerrero.
Now Hector.
Oh boy! Just speaking of him, he just got a new deal. They just signed him up.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Him and his dad.
He's a good heel. He's a great heel.
But when I started watching wrestling, Hector was over there in Crockett, and he wore him and the Raging Bull. They come to the ring.
Manny Fernandez.
Yeah, they come to the ring with a Mexican song. Hector's wearing a sombrero and the little thing across it. I was like, and then Hector goes on to play these great parts down the road, like the Gobbledygooker and Lasertron.
Worst, maybe next to Iceman or whatever the guy was.
Pennachio,
that Gobbledygooker was horrible.
Have you ever seen Lasertron, Pennachio?
No.
Horrible. That's worse than the ice guy. Who was the ice guy? Glacier?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lasertron. Okay, so back in the 80s, we had a thing called laser tag. And you had the little vest with the thing on it, and people would shoot it. So this guy, Lasertron, comes.
That was a fun game, though. That was a fun game. I don't take away from the game.
Hold on now. I'm gonna pull up Lasertron and let Pennachio. Hector Guerrero portrayed this guy because and he ended up winning the junior. Okay, that's not what I want. Wrestler. He ended up winning the junior heavyweight championship. And here we go.
Can you put it up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it up there for you. I'm pulling it up right now. So get ready to. This could be. You remember when we watched the Super Shockmaster last time?
Oh,
this could be, let's see. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was Hector.
The same guy in both of them?
Yes.
It's like a white guy on the right, dude.
You can tell because
the arms look wider on the right.
That's Hector on both of them. You can look at his eyes on the one on the right.
Hey, he got a paycheck. He got a paycheck, so that's what mattered.
And I mean, he's carrying that junior heavyweight belt too.
Who was the one that had that belt for so long? It was Nelson Royal, wasn't it? He never wrestled.
Denny Brown.
Okay, dude. There was a guy named Nelson Royal too. He was like for a while time.
Nelson Royal was the one that came up with the whole bunkhouse stampede thing. You remember they used to do those battle royals?
I just remember that he held that title for like years, but never.
Nelson Royal did. You're right. He did hold it for a while. But yeah, that one was. Whew. Okay, so Ryan Nemeth as Gino Hernandez.
Bit part. Did okay.
Yep. You know who Ryan Nemeth is?
No.
That's Dolph Ziggler's brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's in AEW. He's also a comedian. So yeah.
I knew that was Gino from the start. That did really well. Like that was good that they put that in.
Yeah.
What, them doing coke together?
It's the 70s.
It's like that. You ever see that backstage thing with Hawk and Lex Luger and all them doing?
Oh, the bash.
Oh yeah, the Great American Bash or something like that. Yeah.
Yes. I think Jimmy Garvin was filming it. And I think a lot of them really wish he hadn't showed that because
that was like Facebook the early years, like way back when.
Yeah. So talking about the movie so far, let's see, released on November 8th. It has grossed $26 million and received positive reviews from critics.
I like it.
Named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the National Board of Review. So it starts off, and of course you can tell it's going to be built around Kevin, which with Zac Efron up there, you can definitely tell that's what's going to happen. And he's worried that his dad pushing his youngest brother Mike too hard and going away from what he really wants to do, which is music. And Fritz is portrayed about like what we've always heard, like he's an overbearing dad and he's all about the business. I don't know, I do know that one of Carrie's daughters was talking about how spot on the guy that played
Lacey.
Yeah, but no, not Lacey. There's another one. But she said they kind of portrayed him, and that's her granddad. So she probably saw a different side of Fritz. But she said that they portrayed him too much as too overbearing and as too much of a bad guy. So, I mean,
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't. From what I've heard. There was a local. I'll be the Texas thing. There was a local guy here in San Antonio. His name was Dan Cook. He was a sports guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he confronted Fritz back in the day about wrestling being fake, and Fritz did the whole ankle thing and said he wanted to kick his ass and stuff like that. But I thought it was spot on from everything I've heard. I've read articles about stuff like that. I want to say the one thing about Dan Cook, that guy, that he was an old codger, the guys that, love it or leave it, the old sports guy that, they would confront those wrestlers about it being fake. He is credited for coming up with the saying, "It ain't over till the fat lady sings." Yeah. He's got that thing if you ever Google him, but he talked about that when he retired. What his most memorable thing, and he said it was the stuff with the Fritz von Erich, because he said that Fritz was always playing a role, that he was never real. So maybe that's what he did to his sons. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, but a granddad is a little bit different. I know my granddad was as a kid, I thought different of one of my granddads than what I found out he was as an adult. So. I guess it's just how you see him at that age.
Grandkids, they're kind of going through the job interview and getting the job, like their first job with the kids, but they're known to spoil it the next time around. You know what I mean? So she may look at it different than what her dad looked at it as.
Yeah.
But there had to be something there, some kind of abuse or something like. I mean, this is what I've read, but God, for just to have all those 3 kids kill themselves, I mean, it's.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Pushed him too far. I mean, you pushed him too far.
I mean, there's a point in the movie when I think was it Carrie went to Japan or something, and Fritz goes, "We are going to be NWA champions." So I think he was living out his life through his kids. He didn't say, "You're going to be champion." He goes, "No, we are going to be champion. We are going to bring the belt back." And I was waiting for Kevin to go, "Dad, I am, not you. I'm doing this." But that's how I look at it, that he missed out. His football career ended, and he's trying to live through his kids. And I think he way too much. That was back then.
Kevin, you remember at first of the movie when he's wrestling and I think it's David and Kevin are the kids, and he's telling his wife about the car. He said, "I'm going to win the NWA championship. We're going to do this and all this." It never happened for him. So exactly what you're saying. He's trying to live through those kids. We're going to do this. We're going to do this.
Kevin was a hell of a football player too, and he could have been pro. That's what the rumor is.
Had an injury,
but it kind of with me, Kevin's always was kind of my favorite because I really got into it when he was fighting with Chris Adams. I liked all that Gary Hart stuff, and Kevin was always my favorite. But watching this movie and looking like on the YouTube and stuff like that, there is no question. And Flair's 100% right. David was the star.
Yeah.
He could go to Florida and play heel. He was a hell of a heel. I mean, and he could do both. And there's something missing about today's wrestling that, like DiBiase did this. Like, you could go somewhere and play a heel, and you could go over and be a baby face. I mean, you're on there 24 hours now. You can't really go to another territory. But that's what was great about the 80s, is that you could play heel somewhere else and be a baby face somewhere else because we weren't on this 24-hour news cycle. I mean, that and David, it's just a shame. Of course, Kerry just couldn't handle it evidently.
Belt off him because
he wouldn't show up. But and I think Kevin got overshadowed because I think Kevin was as good as Kerry or Kevin or Kerry or David.
I agree.
I think Kevin was the guy that, forlorn. He looked out for the family. He did all this stuff. He put his family first. It's like when Kerry won the title. They were there. Hey, we won this. That's the way they looked at it. Yeah. And Kevin put the family over everybody else. And evidently he's the strongest one because, I mean, he said that. I used to be a son. I used to be a brother. Now I'm neither. I mean, that dude.
That's terrible. So Kerry, at the first movie, Kerry is not even in the picture. I mean, it takes a while for Kerry because Kerry is training for the 1980 Olympics.
And then the Russia thing, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to go over there and do the discus throw, which goes on to be his one of his finishing moves, the discus punch.
And that's a true story. He was good.
Yeah. And then, of course, we all know the 1980 Olympics, the United States, Jimmy Carter boycotted that. And so Kerry decides, I'm going to be a wrestler. It's time for me to join up with the rest of the family and be a wrestler.
Did he decide it, or was it decided for him? That's the kind of the movie.
Well, the movie kind of gives you both angles there.
That's what
Kerry shows up.
And I never looked at it that way. I always looked at he wanted to do it on his brothers, but the way that movie got it, maybe he wasn't that interested in doing it until his dad said, "Yeah, you're going to do it."
I feel like his father went up to him and said, "Kerry, the Olympics is gone. It's another 4 years. Come and do this. You're going to waste your life for 4 years for nothing." I reckon he pushed him to be a wrestler. That's how I feel.
I agree.
So
I agree totally.
It shows Kevin fights Harley Race for to be the number one contender, but really beaten and only wins when Race attacks the referee and gets disqualified. And it kind of shows Kevin outside the ring. He can't get up. He's having trouble getting up. And then when they get backstage, even though he won by disqualification, Fritz is disappointed. He's like, "Yeah, out of all the good things he did, he said, I saw you couldn't get up." And I'm like, come on, dude. I mean, the guy is.
Well, it just always proves that just because you're the oldest doesn't mean you're the favorite.
But back then, that would have just been pure concrete. There was no padding back then.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But leave it to Fritz. But
no, because David was his guy. David was.
Yeah. You hear him at the table, at the breakfast table, when he's out there giving his rankings of his sons.
Yeah.
Did he say Kerry or did he say David? I can't remember.
I wonder. He may have said Kerry.
I think he said Kerry.
It's at the start of the trailer anyway. So.
He was berating Mike. He was like, "You need to put more weight on." He said, "Here's the rankings. Number 1 is Kerry. Number 2 is David. Number 3 is Kevin. Number 4 is you. But it can change." And I'm
David was the best talker. I mean, he was Probably one of the best wrestlers. I think him and Kevin were pretty much matched up, but David was a better talker. I agree with that. Yeah.
After the Harley Race fight in the change room, Kevin goes to David, "Why are you talking for me?" And David's like, "You can't.
Yeah.
You didn't."
I will say that you talked about David playing heel in Florida, and I went and watched a lot. I went down the whole rabbit hole watching a lot of Von Erich stuff after I watched this. There's an interview up there with David as that heel in Florida, and David is spot on. Mm-hmm. And then you look over there, and there's Kerry playing a heel. Train wreck. Mm-hmm. As Sonny Mooney would say, Baruto. It is terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, it's almost as bad as his last match, which we'll have to talk about that later. So then you see the whole Mike deal. Mike wants to play music, and he doesn't really want to be a wrestler. I mean, I guess if you're a Von Erich son, you got to be a wrestler, because I mean, one of them
it's like being a damn Osmond. You ain't got no choice. You got to be.
And one of them that didn't get any airtime in the movie, I don't remember, is Chris.
Nothing. He didn't get anything.
And that, to me, is the biggest tragedy in this movie.
And I read up on why.
I mean, I get why, but
one of the guys that did the movie said because they didn't think you could handle one more tragedy in this movie.
But I think they missed the boat. I think they missed the boat.
You're going to play out the whole Von Erich curse. You mentioned Jack, the 2-year-old.
I know, exactly. Why do they mention the guy that has nothing to do with wrestling? But the kid that actually did wrestle,
there was a curse from day one.
The guy that actually did wrestle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris.
And in the ending, I know you guys talk about the ending, but would you want to see your other brother there? I mean,
I agree. I wonder what Kevin. I haven't been able to find any comment from Kevin on this, but
Kevin is too nice. He's just too nice. He's doing what he did. He's doing what he did with Fritz. He's just okay.
Chris was actually trying to be a wrestler, but he was too small. I mean,
he fought Percy Pringle a lot.
Yes, yeah. He was matched up with Paul Bearer or Percy Pringle, whatever, and he just didn't have it. I mean,
but I remember. Okay, speaking of Chris, I mean, I don't know, Stevie, if you remember this, but I remember. I don't think I was. I think I'd kind of toned out. Like after the World Class left the NWA, I kind of toned out because they had their own world title, and I mean, Rick Rude was there. He was good. Art Bell. What's his name? Al Perez or whatever.
Yeah, Al Perez. Yeah.
But they had this like Pro Wrestling Illustrated cover with all the Von Erichs, and they had Chris on there, the kid that will take over the Von Erich legacy. And I just remember it. God, he's small.
Yes.
I mean, he was just really small. And you talk about the pressure on that guy. I almost see the. I mean, I'm not making excuses for suicide because you don't know what somebody's going through, but I almost look at his as the most tragic. Because he wasn't a star. He wasn't somebody that could do it. I mean, he killed himself. I mean, if you think about it, his is the most tragic of them all, I think.
Yeah. He felt like he couldn't live up to the family name.
I mean, Kevin. I mean, he killed himself between Mike and Kevin and Kerry. I mean, they just went from Mike to Kerry, but he killed himself in 91 or something like that.
91.
I mean, God. Can you imagine? And just, not being big enough, he had supposedly brittle bones. I mean, that was the most tragic, I think, out of all of them, next to the kid dying at 5.
Yeah, I just I didn't understand that. I mean, if you're going to bring the kid into it, getting the electric jack, I don't know why putting Chris in there would hurt.
They didn't even portray him or nothing. They didn't mention him at all.
Never mentioned.
And if I was Kevin, I would watch that and go, God, because you think about who's the only one left is Kevin, and he's got to see that. It's like God.
I wonder how much they approached Kevin about what was in this movie, or if they did at all.
I think he would have had a bigger say with Chris. I think.
Yeah,
that's why I said to people, if you watch it without knowing, you would just think it's just a tragedy. But you need to read a bit about the family too.
Exactly.
And honestly, a lot of people that know the Von Erich story don't know about Chris.
Yes.
That's what's sad about it, is that like, oh, they had another brother that died. You know, they knew about Mike, they knew about Carrie, they knew about David, but it's like, oh, they had another one. And I think he is the one that, if I had any say on it, he would be, because he's still a brother. I mean, he had no shot because he couldn't win anyway. So
yeah.
But you're right, Stevie. I mean, if they're going to mention mention Jack, how in the hell did they mention Chris? Because Chris actually was a professional wrestler.
Yeah,
that's the biggest takeaway from the movie for me.
That's what I knew. That's where you were going earlier, but that's why I said the worst actor portrayal.
And honestly, in the ending, where I know it's like, you know, he sees his brothers and stuff. I'm spoiler alert, but yeah.
So it shows Carrie, Fritz urging Carrie to get in the wrestling business and go fight alongside Kevin and David, and you know, it shows what Kevin's wife helps Mike sneak out and goes plays a music gig against Fritz and Fritz's wishes, but then you get a lot of wrestling action, and it shows the Freebirds. First time we get to see the Freebirds with Gordy, Michael Hayes, and Buddy Roberts, which was probably in the 80s. I would put that in top 5 feuds of wrestling. I mean, the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs. And what kills me, and you were mentioning earlier, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it, watching some of this old stuff, I didn't remember Gary Hart being a babyface when he came in. I cannot see Gary Hart as a babyface. I'm sorry. It is weird to watch stuff. Gary Hart has always been like evil incarnate to me as far as coming, and he portrayed it well. I mean, this is a guy, Gary Hart was a guy that doesn't get enough credit for his wrestling knowledge and what he's done for the business. I mean, I just knew him.
That's why he was my number 2.
Yeah, I just knew him from when he came to WCW. You know, the first time he came, he brought Al Perez with him. And Al Perez kind of flaked out. They were doing the whole thing with Al Perez feuding with Nikita. That really didn't go anywhere. Then had him teaming up with Larry Zbyszko. Al Perez was a really talented wrestler. He just didn't have the chops, the mic work. I mean, this is a guy that was supposed to be the Black Scorpion. And if he had done that, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that if you're at Al Perez's spot. Why would you not want to be the Black Scorpion? I mean, in your situation where your career, you had a great career in world class, but now you want to go up to another level. This would put you to another level.
But that's why you have the guys like Chavo Guerrero doing the Scantron or whatever the guy's name. What's he called? Who was the guy doing the one you're just talking about? You showed
Lasertron. You talking about
Scantron's what we did in college, right? With the
Scantron. I was like, what is Scantron? What are you talking about?
I mean, and you talk about the greatness of Gary Hart. He's the one that brought the Freebirds into Texas.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Freebirds came in as baby faces.
And it's kind of sad that he wasn't mentioned in this movie, because he kind of built World Class up like as much as Fritz did. I mean, he was great.
I would have liked maybe 4 or 5 more minutes of Freebird action. Like you said, that was one of the biggest things in Texas wrestling.
I thought the Freebirds did great. I thought the guys that did it were great. I thought it was.
They got Michael Hayes, but his hair so spot on and his little arm action. They did well, man. That was one of the best.
You could tell the guys playing the Freebirds had watched film. They had done their research. One of the guys that played
Buddy Roberts was wearing that headgear. I remember that he wore that headgear back then. Because Buddy Roberts always got his ass kicked. Always.
There's a podcast called Booking the Territory that I started listening to. They had the guy that played Buddy Roberts on there, and he's an indie wrestler. I cannot remember his name.
Booking the Territory? I got to check that out.
Yeah. He was talking about how he got the job and all that. And yeah, it's pretty cool if you want to check booking the territory out. That go back up. I think it's maybe in November or before or October when they did the episode with him. But okay, they show that, and then Fritz decides. Fritz has got this big thing where he's like threatening the NWA. He's got it in for the NWA because back in that day, the NWA was a group of territories, and World Class was one of them.
Yep.
And they voted on who would get the World Championship. Flair had it, but Fritz was like, okay, we need to have that belt here.
Well, I think a lot of that comes from them taking the title off Kerry so soon. I think that had a lot to do with it.
Well, Kerry, and you guys, you look at after Flair beat Harley Race the last time in '83, how many guys that beat Flair held the belt for more than a month?
Yeah.
Dusty?
Dusty didn't hold it for over a month. I'll tell you who held it for the longest out of any of them. Well, Sting held it for a long time.
Garvin?
Ronnie Garvin. And that was only because Ronnie Garvin hardly wrestled any between that win and Starrcade 87. But yeah, they decide David's going to do it. But unfortunately, David passes away from questionable circumstances, whatever, depending on who you talk to. So they flip a coin, and Kerry wins the coin flip. My question for you guys is, how much of this whole story changes if Kevin wins the coin flip? Do you think we get as much of this pressure? Kerry, any of this stuff happens if Kevin holds the belt instead of Kerry.
I don't think they could have put it on Kevin because Kevin wasn't as over as Kerry.
I think it would have a lot of infighting would have happened. If Kevin won it, Kerry would have said, I should have won, right? And Kevin would have turned around and said, look, you know what, just take it, and he would have walked away. I reckon Kerry would have got too big for himself at that time.
Kevin was always the company guy that
Yes.
what's best for the family, what's best for the business. Kerry was too over not to put it on him if it wasn't David.
Yeah.
I think Kevin would probably agree with that, what me and Jack are saying. But I think if you wanted your best champion to actually, show up and do the job, it would have been Kevin. Kevin was a better worker.
It would have been an early Hart Foundation situation with Brett and Owen. Yeah, you can put it on Owen.
Yeah.
But Stu would have said, no, it's Brett. I'm sorry, it's Brett. But no, Owen. And you know what I mean?
Kerry was more popular. He had the bigger pop. Kevin was a better worker. Kevin was more reliable. But Kerry got the crowd, and that's why they probably never put on Kevin, which sucks for Kevin. If there was no Kerry, it would have been Kevin.
Yep.
But Flair, I've listened to a lot of Flair interviews about Kerry, and every interview he said the same thing. Kerry was dangerous. He was
a good kid. He was a good guy, but he was dangerous.
Dangerous.
Because he would He never said anything bad about David or Kevin.
No.
But he did. But Kerry, he was just at his demons. Kerry Ric Flair has never cut down like David or excuse me, Kerry. I think Ric Flair felt bad for Kerry. Like, he's a good guy. He just wasn't reliable.
Yeah. So, and here's where one of the problems I had with, it really shows up right at this point of the movie. One of the problems I had with the movie. The timeline is kind of skewed. I know this is maybe a 2-hour movie, so you can't really do the timeline, but they make it look like Kerry wins the belt, goes home, drinks a beer, talks to Kevin, drinks a beer, and then goes out on his motorcycle and has the wreck.
Yeah, exactly.
The night he won the belt.
The wreck came years later.
Yes.
Well,
So-
I tell you what, though. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But man, what a visual! I mean, I always knew he lost his leg, but to see it,
Yeah.
what he went through, shit. God,
That
can
was
you
when
imagine?
a few people behind me, and I swear to God, they did this. They saw his leg and went,
Yeah.
oh. So I don't think they knew the story, which is fine. But I thought
He was already in WWE, right? When he had that wreck.
No, he was still
No.
in world class.
Okay, I must have
He came,
tuned out.
he came back. He came back. I want to say he came back too quick. You know, and then
I remember that. Yeah,
he didn't want anybody. You know, of course, he didn't want anybody to know he lost his leg. But he came back too quick. I remember because he came back in a. He was wearing. I remember seeing in the magazine. He came back. He was wearing all white. I mean, it was a whole white suit and came in the ring. And then they were talking about. Like a month later, he had a setback. He was going to miss more time. That's
he cracked his foot, right, or something, and it got infected.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they take his foot off.
But
And
you think about that. That probably goes back to Fritz. Like, oh, you got to get back. You got to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
You got to. And you kind of think about that. I mean, he had a decent run as Texas Tornado without the foot. But God, if he would have gone to, you know, it's. I mean, he became a jobber there at the end in WWE.
Yeah, he did. Well, he was. This is when his demons really were getting the best of him.
Yep.
That is why he was going downhill. I think the last match I remember seeing, and it may have been a few more after that. SummerSlam was it 89? No, it had to be in the 90s, 92, I think. Him and Steamboat and Bulldog fought Power and Glory and the Warlord, I think, and they win the match. It was pretty impressive, but not long after that he's gone.
He was in that 92 Rumble that Flair won, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in that. I mean, and look, I know there was a lot of people talking about when he made the jump to WWF that Vince and them wouldn't even acknowledge the Von Erich name. That's a total lie. They called him the Texas Tornado, but if you listen to that match, he gets there and in no time he's winning the Intercontinental title from Mr. Perfect. And they call him
Kerry the Texas Tornado Von Erich, though.
Yes, they call him Kerry Von Erich, Texas Tornado. They mentioned that. I mean, I don't know, but he had talent, but his demons just got the best of him.
When he came back and you see him at the home ring, he's put the boot on and he's getting cranky, and you see Kevin telling him to get up. Do you think that was really Fritz? Do you reckon Fritz was the one who was telling him, if you want this, get up? But they used Kevin instead?
Could be.
Yeah, it could be.
I just thought that was a very Fritz thing.
I think it all goes back to Fritz because I think Fritz just. I mean, I don't think a lot of them, besides maybe Kevin, would even be in it if it weren't for Fritz.
Well, you talk about Kevin being the company man who does whatever's best for family. You think Fritz got to Kevin and said, "Look, you need to get Kerry straight. You need to go out there and get him back straight."
I think Kevin was in it for the money. He even says that. Well, I can make a lot more money in World WWE, but I think Kevin was more into the money. I think Kevin was able, as being older, was able to kind of like, well, I can make a lot of money, but I think that the brother, Kerry was like, I got to impress Dad.
Yeah. And they talk about the Von Erich curse, and you really see that come to a point when Kevin and his wife have the kid, and he doesn't want the kid to be called Von Erich. He wants to be called his real name.
That is a true part of the story too.
Yeah. So
it looked like he never even, like, in a good way, in his way, he's like he never even wanted to touch his child. Like he felt like he would.
Oh yeah, like he would curse.
But that just shows you how great of a wife she is. She's still with him.
Yeah,
she was with him through all that shit. He lucked out with her, man.
He got lucky.
Yeah,
for a wrestling wife back in 70s, 80s, he got lucky.
Yeah. So and then you get the whole story about Mike. Mike, who really, like we said, really didn't want to be a wrestler. Kevin's training him. Mike gets injured in a ring, injured his shoulder, and in the surgery, toxic shock syndrome. He goes in a coma, and
True story.
yeah, he narrowly comes out of this.
Yeah, he almost died because he had like 105-degree temperature or something like
Yeah.
that.
So this, of course, they're saying this could affect his brain. I mean, it affect his
Oh yeah,
and it did. We were talking before. I didn't realize how bad it was. You know, I didn't get to see a lot of world class.
I remember it.
I followed it in the magazines, but watching it on YouTube after this, the guy that plays Mike has it spot on how he acted after that toxic shock syndrome. I watched Jim Cornette talking about it because Jim Cornette spent some time in world class, and he was talking about how Mike wasn't the same after that, and they just kept pushing him until he had enough. And Mike,
he's like Kerry. He came back too soon. He was not ready to come back.
And Mike ends up driving out I guess he was camping and ends up taking his own life. And I remember when you get the magazines are a little bit behind back in the day. But it
Already 3 months.
Yeah, it seemed like every issue of one of those magazines would come out, there was something going on with a Von Erich. And when I remember buying the magazine where they talked about Mike's death. And I mean,
I can.
How much worse can it get? And this is only the part.
You talk about the magazines and stuff. Of course, down here in San Antonio, Texas, we're right behind Dallas. It was big, and I think, honestly, I think this is the end of the Von Erich dynasty because I think people started checking out when this happened. I think that people were just so, I guess, just brought down because it was so sad that I kind of remember that I had kind of started checking out with this because, we talk about Chris and we talk about Kerry, but God, he wrote a hand note that they read on the news. Yeah. Just what Mike was going through when you always say, well, there's always somebody to help you. But when you are so out of options that you just think you have to kill yourself, what he was thinking, he was so alone. He couldn't go back to Daddy because Daddy, when you get back in the ring, that's the way I took it. I that's the way I took it is that, I feel bad for Chris, but Mike's up there with him, man. Just to think that you're so, and I've had friends that, killed themselves. I'm sure we all have. That they feel so alone that they feel they can't talk to somebody. You really feel for Mike. Yeah.
Something snaps in your brain. It's got to make you think this is the only option I have. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to help. The only option I have is.
And it's sad that he felt that way, that he couldn't talk to Kevin because, it was all about the business, and it's
one I wanted to talk to Kevin.
It sucks.
So after that, like we talked about, they talk about Kerry winning the belt from Flair. And then I think Fritz gets upset because he loses it back quickly, over to Japan in 2 weeks.
Well, they talked about that in the movie. He didn't show up.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing Flair has talked about is, Kerry was dangerous and you didn't know what Kerry you were going to get if he was going to show up or not.
Yep.
But, it deals with that. It talks about, then they had the whole scene where Kerry comes home for Christmas and gives Fritz a new gun.
That's a precursor there.
Yeah. And
is that true? Was that part true?
Yeah, I think so.
I never heard that part of it before, if it was true.
He gets upset when he puts it away instead of trying it out. And,
no.
And then he tells Kevin, that this whole curse thing has got me really thinking about just ending it. And
Was that when he was on the phone call?
yeah,
Because that's when he started to say that he goes, WWF doesn't want no damn cripple. I think that's when they found out.
yeah.
He said on the phone like that they don't want a cripple working with them. So that's when he started to spiral.
Piper said that everybody, it was such a well kept secret for a long time, and Piper said they were really, really good friends, and he was one of the only ones that Kerry felt comfortable enough taking that off of in front of.
Mhm.
But when it came off, and it was out there, yeah, it was out there. It seemed like everything changed, and
He used to take a shower. He'd take a shower with his boot on.
yeah, that's what they were saying.
Speaking of
But I
boots,
think-
quick, did Kevin always wrestle without boots?
He wrestled earlier with boots on, but he felt so comfortable. Majority of his career was without shoes.
Like I said, yeah.
Let me ask y'all this: what is, and I mean, for looks is probably one thing. What is the advantage of wrestling with no boots on?
Do you grip the mat better? Because I
I
always
mean,
get anxious. You know when you walk outside without shoes and you hit your toe and stuff? I always see that. Like, imagine those wrestling boots just kicking your big toe by accident.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If anything, I think it would be a It's kind of like, I don't know, and Pennachio may not remember. I know you do, Ward. Back in the 80s, they had kickers in the NFL that would kick barefoot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I never understood
In the
why that was. I mean, what makes you want to kick the ball barefoot?
I lived in Missouri for a few years, and they have the Amish up there, and they just freaking wouldn't wear shoes all the time. And I guess you get used to it. I guess I don't know. I had to have at least flip flops on.
Yeah, maybe it's a grip thing. Like maybe you grip the canvas better.
Yeah, you're right, Stevie. I haven't seen anybody since the '80s not kicking.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
I think
you're
everybody figured out, hey, wait a minute here. This, it gets
But,
pretty cold.
one of Kevin's sons wrestles barefoot now.
Yeah. But you
He,
remember,
go ahead.
what's that guy? Tony, I think his name was Tony Franklin, used to kick for the Eagles. He kicked barefoot in Philadelphia. And I mean, you think about it.
Old
the
as
end of
is.
the year, the end of the year, you're kicking barefoot. Yeah. Gotta.
Can you imagine
How does
kicking
that-
a football in this
how
Kansas
does
City
that
game
not-
now?
How does that
Exactly.
not freaking hurt? I mean,
That's
God,
what I'm saying.
you kick on the side, you kick with your toe.
Updating the Kansas City game right now. It's almost halftime. Chiefs are up 16-7.
Go
Like imagine
Chiefs.
you're kicking a field goal, like you're standing there in barefoot for about 10, 15 seconds waiting for the ball to snap. Then you got to kick that pigskin in minus 30 degrees Celsius. That's not going to tickle.
That ball feels when you're kicking that cold. I mean,
That's
I
kicking a
just don't-
brick.
I just don't know how you kick straight on with your toes into that ball. How didn't it jam your toes up? That's got to hurt.
exactly.
You got to kick with your side. You got to kick with your side.
I never understood what the advantage of that was. If it was just for show, I mean, because I was like,
Yeah, you don't see that.
I would
anymore.
think with a shoe you'd be able to kick with a little more power.
See, Matt
Yeah.
Matt Riddle wrestled without shoes because he came from UFC.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
was stoned all the time. He was out
Yeah.
there.
Hey, bro.
Did you hear the story about why he doesn't wear shoes in ring? There was a story. He came out and he goes, he used to run in and out of the house in the snow and he frostbit his bottom of his feet off. That's the story WWE went with.
That was one dude I couldn't get into. I was like,
I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah. We got to throw a shout out. See on Twitter, another podcast is like this episode, the Metal Oasis podcast.
Yeah.
I've heard of that. They like the shout out to them. Appreciate you guys.
Twitter's still a thing.
Or X, whatever you want to call it.
Nice.
X, Twitter, whatever
They
you want
changed
to
it.
call it.
I was about to say, didn't they change the name or something?
It's X. Yeah, it's X. But I still call it. It's kind of like the Redskins. I still call them the Redskins.
Hey, now watch it.
Hey now, so it shows Kevin and Kerry talking on the phone like we talked about, and he hangs up. Kevin doesn't know where he's at. Kevin calls Fritz, tells him,
I think
Carrie
that part's true.
Yeah, Carrie may be coming to the house if he's. And first thing Fritz says is, "Can't talk right now, busy." And Kevin's just like, "Please listen." And they go and find Carrie, gunshot wound to the chest.
That part's true.
Yeah, and seeing Kevin carry Carrie's body, can you imagine after all of that? Because by this time, correct me if I'm wrong, Warden. I think I'm right. By this time, Chris has already killed himself too, right?
Yeah, Chris killed himself in 91. Carrie killed himself in 2000 or 93.
Yeah. So this is it. This is the last one for the last brother, and Kevin's carrying him off. I mean, he's got a.
I
can't.
I was
imagine.
waiting for him to toss him to Fritz, and he said, "I told you to look after him." I was waiting for him just to give him his son.
I just can't imagine having lost a brother that's younger than you.
Yeah.
I mean, to lose it to suicide and knowing. I mean, my brother died of causes and stuff like that. He was younger than me, but to lose it to suicide, knowing you can't do anything, I can't even imagine. I mean, it's like he begged Carrie not to do it. I mean, it's like Carrie just got busted evidently with, I guess, forging some documents or stuff. There was like a big rumor that he was coming across the border and got busted with steroids, or he was facing some jail time.
Yeah, he was.
And I think Cornette's talked about that too. He talked about that on the Dark Side of the Ring. That, I mean, tomorrow's a new day. I mean, he had a family that he must have been just so distraught. And I don't judge him for that, because if you're so distraught, we've been there, that where you mess up something and you're just out of your freaking mind. You're not thinking right. I mean, it's just like, God, it's just I don't judge anybody that way. And I have, after this movie, I just have so much more respect for Kevin, because he went through all this crap. And
did that happen in real life? Did he arrive at the house as it happened, or did he arrive after it happened? You know what I mean?
I think what I remember is that he got a call from Carrie, and they had a big ranch, and Fritz and Kevin knew something was up, and they found the body. I don't know if it was that close to the house.
Because that's what I read. I read they found something and they knew.
There's a Texas Monthly, if you Google it, a Texas Monthly story on the Von Erichs, and it talks about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they knew it was going to happen, and they tried to stop it, and it's just. Yeah. But it happened on their property.
In the movie, you see him coming out of the car. He goes to the front door. Here's the gunshot, and the tree is right next to the house.
I don't know if that happened. I don't know if that. I think it was further out in the country that he had a gun, and that he was going to do it, and Kevin tried to stop him, and I knew that part's true.
Yeah.
What they say is that the gun that Carrie gave Fritz for Christmas, Fritz went in there and looked, and after Kevin called, and Fritz, I guess, got a wild hair and went and looked, and his gun was gone. That gun was gone.
That part was true then?
That's what I've heard. I can't say for sure it's true, but then they went looking and found him, and he had the gun with him. That was the gun.
He shot himself in the heart. He killed himself that way.
Yeah. And then probably one of the most powerful scenes of the whole movie, you see Carrie in heaven, and he meets up with all the other brothers, with even Jack. David is wearing the championship belt. I think, yeah. And if you listen to Talk is Jericho, which I think you guys, I don't know if you, Pennachio, I know Worden did, when he had Kevin and Kevin's sons on.
That was a great interview, Jack. If you haven't listened to it, y'all listen.
I haven't heard that one. I know it's there, but I will listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the best ones I've listened to. But yeah, and then it's over. I would give this, probably, if I'm rating it, probably like a 7 out of a 10.
Yeah.
I would watch. I've watched it twice. Well, like I said, a time and a half. Worden. I would watch it again. Just to see if I missed anything
Yeah.
time around. But yeah, just a tragic story, man. I mean, this is, people watch this movie that don't know about it, and they're probably like, "Well, this is."
Oh, it's all his dad. It's all the Fritz's fault. That's what they will say.
No, but I'm telling these people like this is real. This isn't.
Yeah.
This isn't just something somebody wrote. This is real life. This really happened, and
I thought it was a good portrayal. I mean,
I think so.
It could have been better with the Chris thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it says a lot about heaven because I can picture you and Jack in heaven, and I'm not there. So I mean, maybe I'm
What are you talking about, dude? Don't say that.
But
Jason's waiting for us. That's what it is.
I'm not a.
I know, but
You know me. You know how I am. But I'm just saying. I just think it takes away not having Chris there.
I agree.
But I tell you what, though, I love Kevin Von Erich as a kid, and I have so much respect for him, what he went through, him and his wife, because you saw that thing at the end, right, where it says all members are welcome, that he had everybody there.
Yeah.
Kevin was the patriarch of that family that Fritz should have been. And I salute you, Kevin Von Erich. You were my first wrestler I liked there, and if I could ever meet you, I'd shake your hand because you're a hell of a man, dude. That's what I took out of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I came out of this, because I was always fascinated with the whole, because like I said in the first episode, when I got into wrestling, I wanted to learn everything. I couldn't get enough. I would read the magazines cover to cover, and then read it again. So, like you talked about Al Madrigal earlier, I knew all about them. What was some other guy? Jeep Swenson. Remember him?
Oh, that's the only wrestler that I ever met.
Yeah, Jeep Swenson was there. I mean, the Parade of Champions. I would read all about that. The David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions. So I was fascinated with this story from the start, and then to see it on the movie.
Jeep Swenson.
He played Bane in Batman and Robin. Yes, I knew where you were going.
That I don't know if I told you, Jack, this commercial. You knew Jeep Swenson is?
No.
He was managed by Skandar Akbar, and I remember.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I used to fly up. He was a big old dude.
Yeah,
I used to fly up to Dallas to see my grandmother back before 9/11. This is in the 80s. And it was right after Mike Von Erich died. The height of Jeep Swenson's heel run. He was a nice guy, and I shook his hand. I was just a kid. And I go and said about Mike Von Erich. He goes, man, it was a sad. He was a good dude. This is the 80s, granted, when he was a heel, but he still talked about it. And that's the only wrestler I ever met that I shook his hand besides Dolph Ziggler. I got to meet him one time.
Oh, cool.
But it was just, that's how much the Von Erichs were respected.
Yeah, I mean, I was always I read up on. Matter of fact, one of the magazines that I had, it was like I studied this stuff. Had Kerry's title defenses in that 2-week span because he had a few title defenses.
Oh, really?
Flair, and he had some against some Japanese guys because they were in Japan when he lost it back to Flair. But this right here made me more of a Kevin Von Erich fan, and hopefully his sons will get a shot. I know they're Ring of Honor.
They're kind of old now for WWE, aren't they? They're in their
but still, they can get a shot. I mean, of course, the Von Erich family goes into WWE Hall of Fame. I think that was in 2009. They made mention of that at the end of the movie. Well deserved.
That was a great speech when Kevin came out, and he talked about how good of a guy Terry Gordy was. He goes, "Your dad was one of the best men I've met in my life," and it was great to see that. I mean, it was just so awesome to see that. If you haven't seen that, Jackie, go back and watch Kevin Von Erich.
The Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah, because when
I saw it the night I came home.
Yeah,
I've seen it years ago, but
they were in Georgia. But when Kevin Von Erich came out and talked about how great Terry Gordy was, it's like, oh, it was just awesome.
It's sad because you watch him do that speech of the Von Erichs, and it's just him. You know what I mean? It kind of hits home.
That's what makes it's terrible, dude. I can't imagine. I've only got one brother. I can't imagine losing 5. Wasn't it 5?
I see. I don't. Yeah, I don't get choked up as much. But at the end of the movie, you see the original photo of the Von Erich brothers. I'm like, oh man.
And wasn't Chris in that one too? Chris was in that one too.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
I think he actually was in that.
Yeah. But
don't want-
I just think it would have been just better to put him in there. I think they missed. I think they missed
Even for a
out.
split second, if they said,
Yeah.
"Oh, Kerry, Chris Rain, can you give him a call back later?" You go, "Oh man, they said his name. They said his name or something."
I mean, I get it because they don't want to make people too sad because it's a sad movie.
Well, that is what he said. He said he didn't think the film could take another one.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean,
Maybe
if
that's
you got 5. If you got 4, I mean, what's 5 going to do? For
I mean,
you?
maybe that's the way we look at it because we know the story. Maybe somebody doesn't
Yeah.
know the story. Maybe it's too much. I don't know.
I mean, for a 25-year span of history in 2 hours, they did pretty well.
But I think, I mean, I don't know what movies you guys have seen this year, but I think this will probably go on to next year's stuff. But Oppenheimer was a great movie. I think Robert Downey Jr. won the Best Supporting, and I think he was great. But I think Zac Efron deserves at least a nomination.
Yeah,
because I think he was very, very good.
Well, I did see Carrie. The guy that played Carrie won a Golden Globe Award for another role he played in.
He's in that
In the
movie,
Bear?
The Bear, or some TV
Yeah,
show.
that's it. Yeah, he won a Golden Globe.
I
for
heard
that.
people tell me that's a good show. I haven't really watched it yet.
I need to check it out. Any last thoughts, guys, on the Iron Cloud?
I think the only con for me is at the end. It's not a spoiler, but you see Kevin play football with his kids, and he starts crying, and he says, "I have no brothers left." I wish they didn't say that. I wish he just would have watched it, and then they fade out from his kids to him play with his brothers, fade out and end it. When he said, "I've got no brothers left," I get it. I'm like, oh, it probably didn't need that.
And then
That's
they
the only
say
thing.
your brothers. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
I think that they did that because he said, "I used to be a son. I used to be a brother." I think
And
that. I think
right that right there, that whole statement right there, when he says that, is like, I mean, you think about it. He's like, I'm pretty much nothing anymore. I'm just me. I'm not a brother. I'm not a son anymore. So
I mean, it's the thing about it. I mean, I think with Stevie, I think we both become bigger Kevin Von Erich fans.
yeah.
Not so much the wrestler, but the person.
What
And
do I mean,
I mean, it's just he is somebody that just been through so much, and just you can't imagine the tragedy. But just to make the life of it, to where he took his mom in, and he has the whole family there. I mean, he doesn't judge. I mean, I think a lot of us could learn from him. I mean, we have our disagreements on stuff, but I mean, we've all known life is short, and it's just like, I become a bigger fan of Kevin Von Erich through this movie. And if you don't know the history of the Von Erichs, I mean, I'd suggest that you Google and read stuff up on it. But this is a great introduction.
yeah,
I grew up. I was a Kerry fan just because of his build. To me, he was a wrestler.
Well, he was the most known.
But after this, man, I'm like, you just want to go and just shake Kevin's hand. Go, you know what, Kevin? It's all right. You did what you had to, and what you've done is perfect. Yeah. It's silly, but you just want to give him a hug and go, Kevin, it's all right.
You think if Kevin had ever made the jump to WWE, he could have been a star there?
I do. I'm partial to Kevin, but I think Kevin. I would put Kevin above Kerry, but Kerry was more popular, but Kevin was more skilled.
They would have pushed him as the Von Erich brothers as a tag team.
Yeah.
They would have had an argument. Kerry could have won the title for like maybe a month, and Kevin would have started from the bottom and went all the way up, and he would have overshadowed Kerry 100%.
I agree. I think Kevin would have done better in the NWA. I think
I agree. I think that was built more. I think if Kerry and Kevin once world class, I know it never would have happened because Fritz is there. But if Kerry and Kevin had left World Class and came to Crockett, oh gosh,
Can you imagine Kevin and Sting as a partners back in Sting's day?
I mean, you think about that. Having them team up with like Dusty and Nikita, somebody against
and Kevin could have probably taken, instead of like a Ronnie Garvin, Kevin take the title for a few months.
Could have been a transition champion. Yeah, I think so. But
I like the little inclusion of Jerry Jarrett too. That was nice.
Yeah.
At the end.
Well,
that was true. Yeah. That was true because I remember I don't know kind of what it was called, but that was horrible when they had that organization took over World Class. I mean, USWA.
USWA.
Yeah, that was horrible. I remember watching that and go, man, this is bad.
And see, that's another one people don't really talk about a whole lot. Kerry's feud with Jerry Lawler.
Yes. Because Jerry Lawler did Kerry hold the AWA title?
He never won it because
he never did.
They had the unification match and they stopped it because Kerry was bleeding too much and gave the belt they unified it, gave the belt to Lawler.
But Kevin had the World Class title, and I think Rick, what's his name, Rick Rude. I mean, that was just when they left the NWA. I mean, they went downhill big time.
Yeah, I agree.
But I give it 3 out of 4 stars. I thought it was good.
This will be something I could watch again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I will watch it, like you said, just see if I missed something. Something that I know now.
And I'm not a big rewatcher. I mean, it's not. I like to watch, but I can watch this again.
So, I will say this, like Worden said, if you watch this movie, after you watch this movie, take a trip down YouTube, that whole rabbit hole with YouTube on the Von Erichs.
Yep.
I think you'll find out these guys were, if you weren't a wrestling fan back in the 80s, you probably don't know a lot how big the Von Erichs were back at that time. So I would suggest
Freebirds and Von Erichs feuds.
Yes.
I think there's I don't know if it's the WWE version, but there's something I saw on Peacock.
Tragedy of the World Class.
Is that the one that's on the WWE, the network?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of sad because you see, if it's the one I remember, you see Kevin go to a sportatorium or what used to be a sportatorium and walk around in there and they're like, it's just the
dark side of the ring is pretty good too, because there's a lot of stars besides Ric Flair, besides the Von Erichs that are in World Class, people that like could have been Gino Hernandez.
Oh yeah,
and the Ultimate Warrior started out there. Jake the Snake was
there.
Dingo Warrior. I mean, a lot of them were there. The Freebirds. I mean, Iceman King Parsons. I mean, Rock and Roll Buck Jumhoff. But he's in prison right now for very bad things. But World Class was a haven for back then. I mean, a lot of great talent came out of World Class. Shawn Michaels wrestled there.
Yeah, Rick Rude came out of there. I remember when Rick Rude, and all of a sudden Rick Rude shows up at Crockett, and I was like, wow.
Him and Manny Fernandez as a tag team were great.
They called themselves the real R&R Express, and that was
Rick Rude, another could have been.
Yeah. You think about these guys. You guys were talking about Terry Gordy a while ago, and Terry Gordy, as big as he was, could move around in that ring. And
the first UWF champion, the first one, or was that Dr. Day?
The guy passed away when he was 40.
Blood clots.
I mean, he still, but he had a heart attack.
Blood clots.
Yeah, and he had a stroke that slowed him down. Mm-hmm. But this is all before 40. I mean,
that's scary.
That lifestyle, though, that lifestyle. I mean, that's another episode we could talk about premature deaths. I mean,
that's one we definitely need to talk about because there's so many that we could talk about here. I mean, Because looking at Gordy, I mean, you remember Gordy had the tag team with Dr. Death that was over in Japan.
And those guys feuded like a mofo too, man.
They were at each other's throat.
Dr. Death's another one that died.
Died early. Yep. Yeah, that is definitely another episode we can do down the line. But
Jeep Swenson was another one that you brought up a while ago. He did another one, died early.
Yeah. And, a lot of this is the lifestyle and combined with some things they try to do to keep themselves in shape, keep themselves their bodies looking like a wrestler body. That's all I'll say there. But, it's just a shame because, Gordy could have had, I don't know if you remember, Gordy was actually in WWF.
Yes.
As the executioner with
a mask, right?
Yeah, had the mask on. He was with Mankind in that Buried Alive match with the Undertaker.
Oh wow!
So, and that was a favor from Michael Hayes. But
you think about those, you think about those guys that died. Like, I don't know how you are, Stevie. I mean, we're both 50, but you think about like him and like Big Boss Man. It's like, God, these guys were young.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You think about it. We outlived Terry Gordy by over 10 years. And I feel like I'm looking at him like, I mean, what?
You're saying they've passed before 40. I'm 35 this year. That's around this time.
Rick Rude was young.
Yeah.
Kurt Henry was young.
Big Boss Man.
That's another episode for us now.
On that comforting thought, let's end the episode.
All right. So before we go, you wanted to take it over, Warden?
Oh, what we're talking about? What was that called? Our triple
count.
A 3 count.
We're not talking about Shane Hill and Shannon Moore and Evan Courageous. We're talking about.
I'm a big fan of Audible. I'm an old man, so I don't really like to read anymore.
Yeah, you never read; you just listen.
And you know me, I'm a what'd you say? I'm a big, I love history, and I'm listening to a podcast, a book now, an Audible book. It's called "Forget the Alamo," and it's regarding, of course, the Alamo, because we all hear about Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie and stuff.
Davy.
Hear about the
all the stuff of why Texas became its own country, and these are like some Texas Monthly artists, authors that wrote that it's not exactly what you hear in school, that there was like more to it than that. It kind of gives real more actual accounts than what you're told, So Forget the Alamo. It kind of talks about like these guys were more fighting for, the money than stuff. And it's kind of like more like, when the South fought the U.S. war. So if you like history, I guess read. Me and Stevie did a recent article. My second one is on Star Child Paul Stanley.
Star Child.
We were listening to a Decibel Beat podcast that Mitch LaFon and Chris, I never can say his name right. They did a Shinzak or whatever. They did a story, a top Paul Stanley songs, top 5 songs from 2012. It's a pretty good episode. They got a version of I Stole Your Love, which is like their number 1, which I'm trying to find. I think it's great. It's a great Kiss song. And I guess my third one is I'm watching a show on FX, if you got Hulu. It's called Fargo. And I'm watching the first season. It's with Billy Bob Thornton. Yep. And it's pretty much about gangsters, I guess. Me and my mafioso guys, because, that's what I am. But Billy Bob Thornton plays like a hitman, and it's Fargo. And I saw the new Fargo. It has John Hammond, who's in Mad Men. So I started watching that. So I would suggest Fargo first season. It's great.
Very good.
I've been meaning to watch Fargo, but I just
It's good. It's good.
All right, Pennachio, what you got?
So I speak about mafia movies. They played the full series of Sopranos from start to finish on repeat for about 2 weeks. So
Love
I
it.
watched that.
That's what happens when you have like a year off or
Exactly. So I've seen it before, but like I said, you rewatch things and you pick things up again. So
Great series. Great series.
you can't go wrong with that. It's a good one you can just chill out and watch. I got pushed onto a TV series called Only Murders in the Building. Martin
oh
Short.
yeah.
Oh, that looks good. That looks really good.
It's 10 episodes a season. There's 3 seasons at the moment.
Martin Short.
Half-hour episodes. Oh, it's hilarious, man. It's
What's it on?
So
Netflix.
I got it on Disney Plus here, but I was
Okay,
told
I got that.
it's on Hulu in America.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But yeah,
I'll check that out.
half-hour episodes. I just finished this first season last night. Hilarious. It was the best.
I read
And-
Martin Short's book. It's great. Martin Short's book.
You read it or you
Same-
listened to it?
Audible.
Same person who told me about that was also told me to watch The Peanut Butter Falcon. It's got Shia LaBeouf. It stars an actor that he has Down syndrome. He escapes from
He does?
Sorry,
Shia LaBeouf has Down syndrome?
He's got it on the movie.
Dude, he banged Megan Fox, so you got to give him a high five for that. So
but yeah, it's about this kid who watches wrestling. Funny enough, and he wants to meet this wrestler, and they just travel to go get it. And at the end, I won't spoil it too much. Mick Foley and Jake the Snake's in it.
you got Stevie has Mick Foley in it, so he'll watch it.
Yeah, it's about this kid. He watches this videotape of this wrestler. He's a no-name wrestler. It's a fictional character. But at the videotape says, if you come to my studio, I'll teach you how to wrestle, whatever.
Oh wow.
And he goes there, and the guy's like, that movie's 15 years old. I don't know that guy anymore. Rah, rah. But no, the Peanut Butter Falcon, good, wholesome movie.
Okay.
Sounds good. Let's check it out.
So Peanut Butter Falcon, I recommend. Only Murders in the Building, 100% recommend. And I was rewatching The Sopranos.
Selena
that's
Gomez is in that, right? Selena Gomez is in that?
Yes.
Ooh.
Good Lord.
Hey, she's a
That's
Spurs
great.
fan. Leave her alone.
Good Lord. Like I said,
Good
good
Lord.
Lord.
Whatever.
All right. So my 3, we're going to start off with a podcast that's coming to an end, and I hate it. And you mentioned him earlier. The Foley is podcast.
Oh wow.
It's coming to an end. They're going to have one more episode. I don't know exactly when it is, but they're talking about they're going to make it a big one. I've really enjoyed listening to Mick Foley. I mean, I've read his books.
Yeah.
I actually read his books. I didn't listen to his books like some people would, but I saw that. But yeah, if you get a chance to listen to that, you start listening from the start. As much as this guy's taken, and you would think he can't remember a lot, he remembers a lot of stuff. There's some stuff he can't remember, like he talks about his memories kind of blurry about the Hell in a Cell match.
Imagine. Shit.
But the last one I listened to, which was in the last episode, he was talking about the Royal Rumble match where he took all the chair shots.
Oh, the I
And-
Quit match?
Yeah, he remembers all. He said, I remember all of that. But yeah, Mick Foley, I mean, and what he does, I don't know if you guys saw it. He actually did a run-in at an independent wrestling match, dressed up like Santa Claus, and did his double arm DDT on the guy. So that was pretty hilarious. But yeah, Foley's Pod, I've been listening to that among other podcasts. But I got my album challenge that I do for the On the Fly, and I've been listening to some stuff on here. I'm not really a big Beatles fan, so I started listening to some Beatles stuff. Journey live in 1981 is one that I listened to there. Yeah. I had to mention that for Worden.
How the hell do you not like the Beatles, but you like Journey? God dang.
Because I have tape.
Oh, you think the Beatles are worse than Journey?
Yes.
You dude, whatever.
That's all I heard.
Dude, you say the Beatles are not as good as Journey. You're just wrong.
I'm just strong then.
Journey's
be wrong.
Journey is as bad as Dawkins.
Oh yeah, like Heaven Sent. Heaven Sent is a
Dude,
great
that
song.
song sucks.
I was on the phone with Joe Decker when you sent that text. And I told Joe, I said, Warden has sent me a text saying Heaven Sent is a horrible song.
That song sucks.
Joe Decker said he has lost his mind.
That song is horrible.
That is one of the best Dokken songs ever.
Yeah, and I know exactly.
He said it's better.
Yeah, exactly.
He said it's
That
better
is one
than any Lynch Mob song out there.
bullshit. Anything Lynch Mob did is anything at Dawkins.
So you gonna let me finish? You all right? So the third thing, this week, Stranger Things went back to recording episode 5, season 5, which is the last episode. So
The
I
kids
started watching.
30 years old now.
Yeah, they're almost. I mean, come on.
I know.
People that won 90210, that one girl was like,
The last season was great. I like the last season.
yeah. So I started going back and watching from the start again. Stranger Things. This is probably like my third time watching it over again.
Really? Wow.
Yes, I love it. I love it. The whole 80s nostalgia stuff, and I mean, it's kind of, if you haven't watched it by now, I mean, I can't describe Goonies. It's got a Goonies kind of Goonies made a horror movie kind of deal there, combination of that.
Yeah.
But looking forward to season 5. I've seen a lot of theories about what's going to happen in season 5.
When's it meant to come out? Next year?
It's probably due to the writers' strike. They're saying probably 2025 at the earliest.
Wow, really?
So, and they were actually mentioning what you said, Warden. If you go back and look at season 1 with these kids, and then look at them now, I mean, yeah, there's no comparison.
It's pretty good at representing the 80s, though. I remember a lot of that
great.
stuff.
They do a great job. The Duffy brothers, they do a great job referencing the 80s culture there.
Oh, definitely.
Detroit Rock City in one of the.
I was going to say there was a Kiss reference there too in one of the episodes,
which was no 80s reference. It was 70s, but
I remember the Metallica thing was pretty good about that.
Yeah, of course Eddie. You're talking about Eddie playing the Master of Puppets solo at the.
Yeah, but when they're showing the mall and stuff, I mean, I remember all that stuff. So
yeah, but they're actually the big theory that's going around. I think it was Entertainment Tonight did a lot of interviews with some of the guys from there, and Eddie was interviewed, and one of the theories that are going around that Eddie will be, he supposedly died,
mm-hmm.
and they're saying he might come back and be Vecna, which is the big villain, be his second in command, and kind of maybe
because he died in the Upside Down.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I think later this year, I think it's supposed to be the last season of Cobra Kai too.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Coming out soon.
I love that they got all the actors still. They haven't got an actor to replace an actor.
Oh yeah, I mean the ones that's just like I don't know if you remember when they did the episode of Cobra Kai with all the Johnny's former guys in Cobra Kai.
They went camping.
That one was dying or whatever, right?
Yeah, and he actually died in real life. I don't know if you realize that. But
the only one they haven't brought back is Pat Morita, and he's dead. So,
well, and the guys that went Cobra Kai, they kept talking about Dutch, which is Steve McQueen's son, Chad McQueen. You remember the one that he had the white hair in the original Karate Kid? He was kind of like and they kept saying he was in prison.
Oh wow.
That was because he said I really don't want to take part in it right now.
Well, I didn't know Steve McQueen had an acting son. There you go.
Yeah, Chad McQueen. I remember when that came out. When seeing that McQueen name, of course you couldn't look up anything. You had to wait for somebody to reference it. So, but yeah, it was Steve McQueen's son.
I'd be excited for Cobra. I like Cobra Kai.
I do too. I think it's great.
And it's supposed to be a Karate Kid movie coming out, which I think is not going to be anywhere as good as Cobra Kai.
You ever seen the Will Smith Sons one? That was terrible.
I never saw it.
This is the bad thing. I think they're going to bring in, what's his name? Jackie Chan was in there. He's going to be in it. And what's his name? The one that plays Daniel.
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph
Ralph
Macchio in the same movie. So I'm like, what is this Karate Kid like Spider?
They gotta have Johnny's the best on that show. Johnny's the best.
Oh yeah, Johnny made Cobra Kai.
Johnny is a rat guy. I mean, come on, dude.
All right, updating again. Chiefs are up 19-7,
Let's go, Chefs.
and it doesn't look like
Dolphins.
Miami's 4th and 1 on Miami's 34, so they'll probably be punting.
Well, Stevie, I can say go Steelers, go Cowboys. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens if the Steelers
Go
even
Rams.
get.
Who do you have in the Rams and in Lions? Like honestly, it's in Detroit.
I'm going for the Rams because I don't want to face the Lions.
That's what I was getting ready to say. He's got to be pulling for the Rams because he knows.
Oh, yeah. But then again, the Rams, the last time they won the Super Bowl, they beat us in the playoffs. So what do I know?
They got Dallas's number, and they're looking for.
No, if Dallas plays defense, they'll win because Dallas controlled that game till the end.
If the Rams win, and so the Cowboys, who has home ground?
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Only one the Cowboys are less than is the 49ers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you have home games all the way to the end.
Well,
Yep.
but minus the 49ers. If the 49ers win, then we're out.
The 49ers in the NFC Championship, they have to go to
The Super Bowl's not in Dallas, so they got to win on the road. So they got to get over that shit.
It's in Las Vegas. How cool is that?
Where is the Super Bowl at?
Vegas. It's at Raiders.
Yeah.
Who do you think's getting that job? I think the coach should get that job.
Yeah,
I think he's
he's
earned
the
it.
front runner. He's the front runner. He should get it. I think he did a really good job with them.
Well, I tell you what, though, Saban wanted our coach from Texas to take over. Well, it was a good thing that Saban retired because they just upped him. So, what do you think about Washington getting it? The guy from Washington getting the Bama job. That's a hell of a legacy to follow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like whoever steps in New England. I mean,
How long was he there for?
Guy
They already hired that guy.
And that was set up. You know that had to be set up. Belichick had to have that set before he resigned because for them to do it that quick.
Do you think Belichick would take a year off and come back, or do you reckon he's done? Or do you reckon he'll go somewhere
No,
next
he's not
year?
done. He's not done. He'll be back.
I think
I think there's a big rumor that Harbaugh is going to San Diego because he wanted that job before.
he loves Justin Herbert.
And he's already won a championship in college, so he doesn't have anything to prove.
Well, he hired an agent to go out and talk to these NFL teams. So
No,
that
I think Harbaugh's gone. I think he's gone.
that right there is something he hasn't done in years past. So
Yep. And you look at Harbaugh. You say what you want to him about him, but Colin Kaepernick hasn't been the same since he left the 49ers. He took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, he finally beat Ohio State. That's what we wanted to do. So, I mean, nothing less from doing college probably.
he'll probably end up in the NFL this year, I think.
Yeah. Either that or Chicago. Either San Diego or Chicago.
All right, guys. Any last words before we get out of here?
Good seeing you guys again, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And definitely, you watch Iron Claw, read a little bit before going into it. But yeah, enjoy. It is a great movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. If you don't know anything about it, or if you do, I would recommend it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going into this not knowing anything about it. I know there's people out there, but going in this not knowing anything about it, I was like, oh gosh, I'd probably be more excited about it, to tell you the truth. But
It'll make you want to read about it if you don't know anything.
Definitely.
Hopefully Kevin does a book soon, so I'd like to hear his story.
That would be good.
Because he's going around the country with David Manning, so maybe he'll write a book.
Yeah, I think Conrad's got him for something. Conrad Thompson got him for doing something. And there's a rumor, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if you heard it, Pennachio, on Road Dogs podcast, that Conrad has got somebody else to do a major former wrestling star to do a new podcast.
Oh, wow. Another wrestling podcast.
Coming this year. That whole ad
What the world needs.
Are you on that ad-free shows? Are you a member of that? I'm not either. Yeah,
Because it's $9 a month for no ads. I just fast forward the ads on Spotify.
That's what I do too. I mean,
Cheap bastards.
but they say that if you get on a certain level, and they like the whole Lex Luger has one now. I don't know if you knew that.
But Lex Express. But there's so many that I don't want to say in a bad way. I'd be wasting $9 a month trying to listen to them all.
It's hard. It's hard to find time to listen to all the ones now.
I only listen to Road Dogg, JR, Bruce Pritchard's.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Did you hear the one with Pritchard was just had that shoulder surgery and he was still on the meds?
No, I haven't listened to on holidays.
Oh my gosh! Which one was it?
You think about it, but he has a really good one out now. I want to watch it. It's on Tatanka.
I've got it downloaded. I just finished the one about One Man Gang. That was pretty good.
I'm not as good as y'all. Just listen to Jericho. That's the one I listen to.
Well, I listen to Jericho too. But I listen to, when you're at, like today, I was at work for 11 hours. So I got to listen to a lot at work today. Booking the Territory. That's another good podcast.
I'll check that one out. That sounds good.
Guys, and they talk a lot of trash up there too, but they're dealing with I think they're going through like week by week of WCW, like in the 92 right now. So
horrible time for WCW.
And I mean, that's what makes it more entertaining when they're talking about this stuff, because they're bringing up guys' names I had forgot all about.
Mm-hmm. I'll start listening to Jim Cornette when he gets closer. I'll start listening to Jim Cornette when he gets closer to the election.
Oh, good.
He ain't gonna hold back on nothing.
Wait, man, dude, that guy will say it anytime. I mean,
I know, right? Shit.
I've got one of his 5-hour podcasts downloaded too that I got to listen to somehow.
Is that the omnibus ones?
They announced some WWE. I think they're going to have a Razor Ramon biography and some of the rivals too. They said that they're just announced on AEW, or A&W.
A&E, not
A&W. I want a root beer. What the hell?
AEW wrestling. Everybody.
They're gonna have that coming out too, so that'll be pretty. The biographies are always real good.
Yeah, I think if this movie goes off well, which it will, I think it's going to lead up to a lot of more documentaries on wrestlers, families, whatever.
It's kind of like
they're already doing it.
It's kind of like when the whole Rockstar biopic started with like the Queen one, and then you had the Elton John one, which I still haven't watched. But
it's good if you like musicals. If it's not good, I like Elton John, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I don't like musicals. Period. Though, only one I like is Grease.
Grease is the word.
Not Grease 2. Grease 2 is a train wreck.
Grease 2 was awesome, dude. It's kind of
Grease 2 sucked.
Grease 2 is like Phantom of the Park. It's so bad, it's good.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
It's so bad, it's good. Because I could pick, I can pick Grease 2 apart. Like
I've never seen it all the way through.
Never even seen it.
I'm a Grease 1 guy. That's it.
Michelle Pfeiffer is in Grease 2. That's one of her early roles there. That was because I was in love with her when that came out. That was the first time I saw. I was like, "Holy crap!" But she was still not as hot as Olivia Newton-John. I don't care what you say.
You're gonna argue with you.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it. 2 hours. Almost. We actually went almost as long as Iron Claw.
2+ hours.
Yeah. Oh, and as a matter of fact, I think we did go as long as Iron Claw.
Yeah. Yep.
Hold on. 132 minutes. Yep. We went longer than Iron Claw, but you guys.
Hey, are we all going to hug at the end like they did? Are we going to?
With that cowboy stuff on.
But like if y'all are in heaven, I probably won't be there, so I'll probably be. Hey, how y'all doing up there?
Oh, here comes Jason.
Guys, that's going to do it for this week.
Thank you, guys.
Make sure to hopefully join me in 2 weeks when I'll do and Pennachio will still be on holiday at that time, I guess. But I'll be doing a watch along with the Royal Rumble. Yeah, you can tell Worden will not be here. Maybe Worden will shave by that time, but anyway, good Lord, look at that mop. Anyway, you
He's a
guys
tough.
have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Triple Threat main event.
See ya.